How's it going, everybody? Long time no see. A lot has happened in the last few weeks, and Summer Games Fest has come and gone, and I have been a little MIA, if you haven't noticed. Just been crazy busy in real life. I did plan originally on streaming the Summer Games Fest showcases. Unfortunately, life got in the way and I wasn't able to do so. I did get to tune in on my own time and check out all of the mini games that will be coming later this year and early next year. And overall, I was feeling pretty good about the showcases we got. I would say the state of play was definitely the weakest in my opinion, but I don't think by any means it was a terrible show. Then you have Summer Games Fest, which Geoff Keighley definitely took the high guard criticism personally and decided not to make the same mistake this year. Say what you will about the man, but I don't think there are many people who care about games and showcases as much as this guy does. And while he might not always succeed, I think he definitely always tries to put out a good show. So hats off to Keighley for an amazing show this year. We got plenty of great announcements like the Resident Evil Code Veronica remake, and personally what I'm most excited for next year, which is Final Fantasy VII Part 3 Revelation. Perhaps the biggest surprise, though, were just some of the absolute bombs that were dropped by Xbox during their game showcase. Now, this might be a bit of a hot take, but generally I think Xbox puts out the best showcases consistently. Even in their slow years, they just know how to put on a good show. It doesn't mean everything at the show is great. It's just their presentation and the things that they bring to the table generally get me more excited than some of the other shows. And this year was absolutely no exception to that. I think a lot of people were very curious how this show is going to play out. With it being the first showcase under Xbox's new leadership, there was definitely a lot of concerns, but also a lot of optimism going into it. And honestly, I have to say, aside from a few missteps here and there, I think the showcase largely landed pretty well for me. As someone who has played on Xbox primarily for most of my gaming history, I was pleasantly surprised by a lot of the news that they dropped here. And it finally feels like Xbox is at least acting like they're listening to some of the fan feedback they've been getting for the past few years now. Just taking a look at all of the games that were shown off at the showcase, it's hard to find something that I'm not really interested in. I mean, just scratch some of the live service Bethesda stuff and maybe one or two of the indie games, and everything else here from this showcase was pretty much something I'm interested in playing at least at some point in the future when I have time. I think the new Fable trailer definitely showed off more of the tone that I was looking for from a Fable game and gave me a little more hope that Playground Games might actually deliver something good here. I definitely don't want to speak too soon until I get my hands on it, but I have to say the nostalgia bait with the Jack of Blades at the end of the trailer definitely pulled me in. I am a complete sucker for Jack of Blades. He is probably my favorite character from the Fable franchise. And part of the reason that Fable 1 still holds its spot as my personal favorite of the series, I just think Jack of Blades is such an excellent villain. And the choice and consequence in that game is just so unprecedented. It's so fun. It's just perfect Fable in every way. And so if they can capture even some of that in this new reboot, I am 100% all in. Gears of War E-Day was also a very welcome surprise. I was not entirely sure what to expect from this, but the game honestly looks great. I don't really have any negative things to say about it other than I wish it was out sooner so I could get my hands on it. And speaking of Gears of War E-Day, which is what Xbox decided to kick off the show with, at the end of the gameplay demo, they decided to drop a bombshell revealing that Gears of War E-Day will be an Xbox console exclusive. So it is still coming to PC, but it will not be going over to Nintendo Switch or PlayStation 5, and they say this is not just a timed exclusive, but a permanent console exclusive. This, along with Clockwork Revolution, are going to be leading the charge on Xbox's new exclusive initiative to try and win back some of their customer base that they've pushed away over the years. For a long time, a major criticism of Xbox has been, what is the point of buying an Xbox console if there's nothing that's unique or exclusive to the platform? Now, I think personally, in a perfect world, all games would just go everywhere, but I know that's not the shape of the gaming industry today, and it very likely just won't ever be that way. And so exclusives is kind of how the console space chooses to compete, and I am ultimately all fine with that. Like I said, obviously, in an ideal world, every game would be available everywhere, but I also own all three consoles and the PC, so I'll just play what I want, where I want to play it. And ultimately, if there's a game I don't really feel like is worth getting a console for, then I just wouldn't get the console for that game. I don't think it's that difficult to comprehend, but as you can imagine, the conversation surrounding this on the internet has been nothing short of toxic. One thing I do find quite interesting is that when PlayStation announced that they were no longer going to be putting their games on PC, it was greeted with a mix of apathy and positive praise, with people saying, yes, this is what makes PlayStation PlayStation, having that exclusive ecosystem of games that are only available on their consoles. I didn't really see much backlash to it, especially given the fact that Sony wasn't really releasing any exclusives until like at least a year or several years after the fact. And personally, for myself, I really didn't care either way. Generally, when I do play a PlayStation game, I play it on my PS5. I don't buy it on PC. And so that decision didn't really have much of an effect on me. So yeah, I just really didn't care. And I think that's kind of how a lot of other people felt as well. But for some reason, the exclusive conversation when it comes to Xbox has always been kind of a double standard where Xbox games are expected to go everywhere because it's, quote, good for sales, but that logic never seems to be applied to their competitors. I just don't really understand where some people are coming from where they say it's okay for Nintendo and PlayStation to have exclusives, but the minute Xbox wants to have one or two exclusive games again, then they're all of a sudden the bad guy of the industry. It's just absolutely insane to me that there are people that are still this hard-pressed over exclusives in 2026. Like, I thought we all kind of arrived at the conclusion that Xbox putting their games on other platforms was terrible for their business, but it seems like I might be on an island with that take now. I don't know. Personally, as a long-time Xbox player, I am excited to see them returning to being competitive in the industry and listening to what fans want. And the fact of the matter is, these games will be available on PC as well. So it's not like you even have to go out and buy an Xbox to play them. You just can't get them on PS5 or Switch. They're still more broadly accessible than a Sony or Nintendo exclusive. I will admit, though, I was a bit surprised to see that Gears E-Day and Clockwork Revolution were both exclusive, but the new Halo campaign Evolved and the upcoming Fable reboot were not exclusive. If you were to ask me what defines Xbox when it comes to their IPs, I would probably tell you Halo, Gears, Fable, and then maybe Forza, but only 2 out of those are going to be exclusive, which makes me wonder if they're still tied down by some contractual agreements. I think they said with Halo Campaign Evolved specifically, there are already physical copies out in the wild, and so it's very difficult to pull that off the shelves, and probably just not realistic from the business side of things, so I get it. I will be interested to see, though, how future entries in both the Fable franchise and Halo series are treated when it comes to exclusivity. And one thing that did kind of annoy me that I saw after the fact was Matt Booty discussing exclusivity and what their approach to it is going to be going forward, with him basically saying again that it's going to be a case-by-case basis, that these aren't the only 2 games that are going to be exclusive, but they're going to kind of abstain from drawing any hard lines until they announce a release date for a game, which personally I would just be much happier if they came out and said, yeah, multiplayer games are going to be multi-platform, and anything that has single player or is from one of those 4 pillar franchises of Xbox is going to be exclusive. I don't know. I just feel like having the case-by-case basis just makes it more frustrating for the consumer because you ultimately don't know where you can access these games until very close to their release date. But maybe we'll get more of a clear definition in the future. But yeah, like I said, the Xbox showcase to me was a major success, and they announced a lot of other really cool things as well. One that I'm particularly excited for was the 25th anniversary edition of the Series X, specifically the controller. I don't know that I'll be buying the console with how much they are marked up nowadays, but I will definitely be picking up that green translucent controller. I have been waiting for one like this for a long time, and it just looks so sick to me. So I will be first in line when pre-orders for that launch, but given the fact that the console is probably going to be anywhere from like $800 to $1,000, I will probably be holding off on that. Especially with Project Helix coming in the near future, I don't really see a reason to get that. Also, I feel like someone needs to tell Xbox and Bethesda specifically that if all you're going to show up to the showcase with is an update for Fallout 76 and Elder Scrolls Online, then just don't come at all. I feel like that Bethesda Presents flashing on the screen is such a major jump scare to people. They're like, oh, are we getting Elder Scrolls 6 news? And it's another Fallout 76 update. I feel like Bethesda just needs to sit these showcases out until they have something like Elder Scrolls 6 gameplay or a release year or just something to give people. I know there's a lot of people who play Fallout 76 and Elder Scrolls Online, but you can give them a YouTube video. To me, a showcase is for the prestige new games coming, not the updates to a 10-year-old live service game that completely flopped at launch. But I don't know, maybe they have some internal metrics that show that people like to see this at the showcase. I just find that hard to believe. The last bit of criticism I have for Xbox on this showcase is, for the love of God, please do not end your next showcase, or any other showcase for that matter, on another COD reveal. A few weeks before the Xbox showcase, they revealed Modern Warfare 4 on Twitter, which led to everyone believing that they were doing so they didn't have to give it a big spot at the showcase, because last year Phil Spencer had that famous moment where he was talking about a legacy franchise and then they ended up revealing Black Ops 7. A game that turned out to be a complete failure, by the way, but everyone knows that already. So everyone on Twitter was like, wow, I really wonder what they're going to end the show with this year. It's got to be something like Elder Scrolls 6 or the upcoming Halo multiplayer or Halo 7 or whatever. And Matt Booty comes out and says Call of Duty. I don't know how they saw all the feedback and managed to think that that was a good idea, but maybe it was just too far along and Asha and Matt couldn't change it. Geoff Keighley definitely got the hint that people don't want him ending on a multiplayer game like Highguard. So hopefully Xbox will take this feedback and run with it for their next showcase. I imagine a lot of things at this showcase were probably already lined up under the Phil Spencer Sarah Bond regime, and Asha was only able to make certain changes. So I think next year is really going to be kind of a telltale sign of the direction Asha is taking the brand in, because next year's showcase should be entirely from her. But ultimately, I do still think this was a great showcase. There was a lot of stuff I wanted to see, like the Doom Dark Ages DLC, and I just feel like it's never been a better time to be an Xbox fan, at least in recent years. I'm excited about their return to exclusivity. I'm enjoying the entertaining conversation online about it for sure, and I really just can't wait to play a lot of these games and see how Xbox does in the coming months. I am definitely getting my hands on one of those green controllers though, one way or another. I think that's going to do it for this video though, guys. Be sure to let me know in the comments what you thought of all of the Summer Game Fest showcases, but especially the Xbox one and their return to exclusivity. How do you feel about console exclusives? Do you think they help sell consoles, or are you kind of more of the mindset that we need to get to a point where there are no more exclusives? I would love to hear you sound off in the comments below, and be sure to let me know what you thought of the video. If you did enjoy it, give it a like and subscribe, and as always, let me know what you want to see more of from me. I'm always looking for content ideas, and hopefully it won't be 3 or 4 weeks before I put out another video. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. And with all of that said, I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys.